tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Tell You What, the podcast. We talk with musicians about songwriting and the creative process. My name is Mike, and I sat down for this one with Jamie McKeogh, guitar player and vocalist for the Irish bluegrass band JigJam. We discussed their truly excellent album, Across the Pond, and their fascinating approach to making music. I was really looking forward to this one. Several years ago, I was at the Folk Alliance International Conference in Kansas City. And a big part of the scene there are these late-night sessions in hotel rooms, people wandering the halls at all hours with various kinds of roots and folk music drifting out of the rooms. Well, the JigJam set in a sweaty hotel suite one evening was the one to remember. They had that room packed and jumping. It was the talk of the night. Next year's convention, same thing, except more crowded as their story had spread. So it was no great surprise to see JigJam getting further attention, including being invited to play at the Grand Ole Opry last year, and by all accounts they killed it. And then when I saw that they were on the roster to play at the DelFest Music Festival this past Memorial Day weekend, I realized the universe was lining things up perfectly. DelFest is, of course, one of the great bluegrass festivals around, put on by the legendary Del McCoury and his musical family in the mountains of western Maryland. I've been attending this one for a number of years, camping on the grounds with family and friends, and becoming a bit of a late blooming bluegrass fan. I reached out to JigJam, and Jamie was kind enough to take the time out during their stay at DelFest to join me for this interview, which we conducted in my sister's family's awesome trailer, known far and wide as the Prowler. The Prowler has a long musical history, has been to a lot of festivals and hosted inspiring jam sessions of all manner. The musical vibes are strong. What was not strong on this particular 90-degree day at DelFest was the Prowler's air conditioning system. It got a bit warm in there, and was getting warmer as the interview progressed. Jamie was a great sport. We had a great conversation, but I had mercy on us both and kept it a bit briefer than usual. A little bit of JigJam's background. The band formed in Ireland some years ago, with a lineup that included Jamie on guitar and Dahi Malia on 5-string banjo. They were joined in 2016 by Gavin Strapp on mandolin and tenor banjo, and eventually by St. Louis's own Kevin Buckley on fiddle. In 2023, they decided to make their home here in the United States to take advantage of musical opportunities they were finding here. As Jamie and I discuss, their music is a blend of the highly skilled Irish traditional music they grew up playing, with American bluegrass and Americana-flavored songwriting, and the result is really something. This podcast likes to focus on the creative process, and I've always been interested in the ways in which artists working in traditional musical spaces express themselves and find their way creatively within those traditions. I've discussed this with Vivian and Riley, Rachel Bayman, and others in previous episodes. The way JigJam brings together the related traditions of bluegrass and traditional Irish music is really interesting in terms of their creativity. I will let Jamie explain it, but I will say it works quite well. Let me finish by saying I listen to this record, Across the Pond, all the time. Highly, highly recommend. But I offer an even stronger recommendation for tracking JigJam down and seeing them perform live. Makes no matter if you don't consider yourself a bluegrass fan or an Irish music fan or whatever. What they do extends across genre into the general category of awesome live music event. Or as their press release says, quote, foot-stomping, high-energy badassery is what you are in for, end quote. But for now, please enjoy this Tell You What discussion with JigJam's Jamie McKeogh. All right, Jamie McKeogh.
Yeah.
Welcome to Tell You What, the podcast. We are recording live at DelFest. Thank you for taking the time on this balmy afternoon to sit with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are here in our mobile recording oasis. We're in the Prowler. It's a musically powerful structure. Lots of magic in here. Can you feel it?
I kind of feel it in my kidneys.
So you were at Merlefest last month, now at DelFest. That's a pretty strong bluegrass festival combination. It must feel pretty good to be so warmly welcomed at these American bluegrass festivals.
Yeah, these two in particular now have been ones we've definitely wanted to do for years since we broke into playing bluegrass music. Merlefest was one of those ones we had gotten interest for the last few years, but never kind of came true until this year. And then just as that came true, DelFest did too, so it was a nice little combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very similar crowds, but they're different in their own ways. Yeah.
And how would you compare them to like an Irish folk or
quite
trad music festival?
In America, I think very different. They're actually not too far away from an Irish traditional festival in Ireland.
Okay.
But they're quite different to an Irish fest over here.
Yeah.
The Irish fests over here are a different thing altogether. I think there's a lot more cultural stuff that is promoted alongside the music, whereas I find that these bluegrass festivals is all about the music.
It sure is.
Which is
all night long, actually.
Yeah, which is great for, being a band.
Yeah. You can't escape it, as I was saying. 3 a.m, you hear them playing outside this trailer.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about your early years. The music was around your house. Your mom was a music teacher, right? So
yeah.
What can you say about the music that was around you at that time how it's impacting your process now?
So my mother was a music teacher. She didn't play Irish traditional music, which is funny, but she was just so, I suppose, into every style of music. She, like, her bread and butter would be, choirs and orchestras.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like classical music, essentially, but she was like, her real passion was being a choir mistress. Singing, yeah, and group singing.
Yeah.
And orchestras. She had an orchestra in the school as well. But she just happened to bring us to fiddle lessons when we were younger. So she would have taught us the guitar and the piano as kids, myself and my sister.
Yeah.
So we would have learned the basics, playing the guitar and playing the piano. And then we went to fiddle lessons to learn Irish music. And I was just about to pull the pin on everything because I didn't really like the fiddle. I liked it, Ciara, my sister, was far more natural at the fiddle.
Yeah.
And just thank God that the fiddle teacher suggested maybe try a banjo or something. And once I started that, I kind of...
So banjo was
my main thing growing up, yeah.
You learned on the guitar, but you focused on the banjo.
Yeah, I learned the guitar, and I always kind of knew how to play the guitar growing up, enough to get by, to sing a few songs. But I didn't really switch back, focus onto the guitar probably until my late teens, and around the time the band was starting.
Yeah.
And now I play very little banjo and mostly guitar.
Well, you got enough banjos in the band.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need another one.
So was music a big part of Irish family and society growing up? As a Yank, maybe I have a romanticized view of this, but were most kids encouraged to play instruments? Was there singing and dancing around the house like I might imagine in my...
In certain households, yes. I think music is encouraged in Irish schools and everything. As a musician, I'd probably say it's not encouraged enough. But everyone gets a chance. Not everyone, there's schools that probably mightn't get that chance, but I'd like to think everyone would have gotten a chance to play something at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether the structures are there to make it cool for young people. Like, I think it was different for us. We had Mam in the house was giving us gentle encouragement at those few years when it was needed, because I knew I could have completely packed it in and gone trying to play sport or something,
So was there music around your house? Were you and your sister and your mom making music?
Yeah, there was always playing, and like Dad's not a musician, but he'd always be playing, he'd be always listening to music, you know.
And didn't you and your sister ultimately form a little act?
Yeah.
The beginnings of what is now JigJam, maybe?
Yeah, she was in the band at the start. But we used to do little duets together and everything.
Yeah.
But unless music was in the house, it's hard for people to, grow up playing music and everything.
Yeah.
There's random people that might not have it in their house and they can still, pursue music and everything. But it's very hard to know, because then I know families that's just nothing, only music and dancing and singing. And,
right.
Like my sister's fiance now, for example, he has 5 sisters. 1, 2, 3, 4 sisters.
Don't screw this up.
I know, yeah. But any time that we're in their company, there's just always a sing-song.
And dancing.
Yeah, not so much in that family,
Yeah.
but yeah, certain families there would be dancing, yeah.
Yeah.
But they grew up with just, everyone singing all the time.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's great now. And again, if I ever, get married and have kids and all that, it's a sort of an idea that I would find very attractive, is the idea of music being in a house.
Yes,
And
particularly singing. In America, at least, children sing when they're little, but then something happens when they get to grade school, and people are told, "Oh, you're a singer, you're not a singer," and a lot of them just stop, and it's tragic, actually.
Yeah, and especially being a lad, I went to an all boys school, so it wasn't cool to be
A singer.
or a musician at all. You felt like you were a bit of not an outcast, but it wasn't like as cool as being on the hurling team or the football team
Right.
or whatever. But I'm glad I stuck with it, because it's only when you get to college you realise, oh, this actually is a cool thing to do.
So were you singing a lot as a youngster with your mom's encouragement?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was in different choirs with her, and I was always doing different competitions and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, singing competitions.
I did a few singing competitions, and then
So in a singing competition when you're younger, you would get up and sing solo?
yeah,
and,
I did
wow.
that a few times.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, and that, again, I was on the fence of just saying, no, this is not for me now at all. But no, it's only when I got to probably college, and when you're at a house party and someone wants to take out the guitar and sing songs, like, oh, great, this is...
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. That's,
Yeah.
that's all right.
So you picked up the guitar in your late teens. What about writing music? When did that start to happen for you?
Yeah, I only wrote a song for the first time when I had to write a song. It was the first couple of years of the band. We had signed up for this thing with a radio station that wanted original songs from local artists.
Yeah.
So we signed up, and then the week before it, we said, oh God, I still don't have anything. So I wrote a song and we recorded it or whatever.
Was it good?
It's a song that we actually re-recorded on the album Gone By.
Oh, that's great.
It's called The Robin. That was the first one.
That's a beautiful song.
So that was the first one I wrote.
Yeah.
Now, before that, I must say, I wouldn't say write songs. My party piece was, and still is actually, when we'd all be having a few drinks with me and my friends, I'd take a song, could be anything, and I'd just change all the lyrics and sing a verse about each person in the room.
I saw you do that on stage today.
Yeah.
You changed a verse to be all about the man who rules us all here, the Big Del McCurry. That was a big hit. You did that on the fly.
Yeah,
That's a skill.
oh, something, all right.
Well, it worked today. Let's talk about Irish traditional music for a bit. For our American audience, if you can walk us through this a little bit. If I have it right, in that tradition, the songs are played straight in terms of no improvisation or no leads taken. Do I have that part of it right?
Yeah, you do. The melody is all played in unison. Everyone plays the melody together. The idea is that everyone will play the same notes, but there's obviously freedom with different versions of tunes. But yeah, there's no one improvising as such.
Yeah.
There's some slight variations and things like that, but the tune would never completely change.
And nobody's taking a solo break. Yeah.
No, everyone plays together.
Yeah.
And they might do their little...
So in that sense, would compare closely with what we call old-time music
exactly,
here.
Yeah. The old-time thing is very close to Irish music.
Yeah.
And then bluegrass is obviously the different thing.
But the way Irish traditional music and old-time music are different, I believe I have this right, is in the way the songs are put together, right? You have different tunes to put together to make up one set or one song, right?
In Irish music.
In Irish music.
Yeah.
So talk about that tradition and how that works.
So if you're in a session, the idea is that, and there's no rules as per se, but the usual kind of norm would be that you wouldn't play just one tune and stop. You'd usually play a tune 3 or 4 times round would be the norm, and then you'd go into another tune, and then maybe another tune. So 2 or 3 together would be, I suppose, the standard if you wanted to give a standard. But again, there's times you could have 6 or 7 tunes rattled off after each other,
right?
Just depending on how people are feeling.
And these different tunes are going to have different time signatures, different melodies, but
yeah,
right?
They'll usually have the same time signature.
Okay.
Now, again, if you listen to what we were doing today,
that's maybe why I said that.
Yeah. We'll try and mix it up, and loads of people are mixing up now.
Yeah.
From a couple of reels to go into a jig or something.
Right.
And that throws a spanner in the works, but it's great. It's yeah, like the session culture in Ireland is. I suppose when you don't play Irish music, it must sound crazy. How
it's fascinating.
It is. It must be, because you wonder how people know all the tunes, and I don't know. I think we just have a big repertoire of hearing them over the years, and someone will give a shout, and whoever has the next tune in mind will start the first few notes, and people will get a listen to it, and then they'll join in.
Okay. But there is a creative aspect here, particularly when I listen to your album and you have these sets of putting the different tunes together and how you choose which tunes are going to go where and how you're going to segue, if we will, from one to the next. I mean, that's a creative process. Can you talk about that and how you go through that process?
Our process is, I wouldn't say it has guidelines, but the fact that we are in the realm of bluegrass, Irish, old time, they're the 3 main ones that we would be pulling for.
Yes.
So it's not like we're just starting on a blank canvas of Irish tunes. We're always trying to mix some form of Irish and bluegrass, and maybe an old time.
I'm going to give you a chance to talk about the song, The Appalachian Irishman, from your record.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that starts with a barn dance, and then we go into a reel, and then we go into a bluegrass tune.
Yeah.
Which is the Temperance, isn't it? But that's a bluegrass tune, but it's also an Irish tune.
Yeah.
And the Irish tune is called the Teetotalers, I do believe. And that's a prime example of what we try to do with any of our sets of tunes. We'll try not to, no, we still do, but we'll try not to play just a full set of Irish tunes or a full set of bluegrass tunes. Every now and again we will. We like to mix and match. So once you're mixing and matching it, just some of the arrangements kind of fall into place, because we'll try to flip stuff from the way it should be. So you were talking about Irish music being played all together in unison.
Right.
If we're playing an Irish tune, instead of playing it in unison, we might throw in improvisation from the bluegrass side.
Okay.
So in that Appalachian Irishman, we have elements of that in the reel, and then when we go into the bluegrass tune at the end, it's usually improvisation, and everyone takes their full solo, whereas we play the whole thing together.
Right.
And we still do a bit of improv at the end, but again, we try to incorporate like the features of.
So
of
not
genres.
only are you taking tunes from the different traditions, but you are kind of
we're taking like
backfilling the traditions within the tunes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you say it, they just kind of come together. Do you think having played the traditional music at least for so long, and now the bluegrass, Do you feel like you're not even thinking about, why would this tune go with this tune? In your head, these things just seem to make sense and they come together?
Yeah, like there's definitely some formulas that we know have worked for us over the years. Like, for example, a jig in general is something that goes down a storm at a bluegrass festival.
Yes.
No matter what you do, you can't fail.
Yes.
Because there's no jigs in bluegrass music.
Yeah.
Most of the tunes are 4/4, and to have a tune in 6/8 is just a complete alien sound.
Yes.
So that's why we're always saying that once you're at these festivals, use some of the tunes that we have a jig in.
Yes.
And you can see it. You can see
saw
the crowd,
it today.
and it's fascinating because most of the jigs that we play, we actually don't do anything too technical with them. We just beat them out like.
You hit that first measure, and you can see the ripple of
Yeah,
energy
because
go through the crowd.
can see, and they're like, "Whoa, what's this?" And there's something about a jig. It's this rolling kind of, and
you're hitting this in our Celtic DNA.
I think, and I know if I was in the crowd, no matter who was on the stage playing a jig, it's just an enjoyable rhythm to hear.
And you seem to build in terms of the tempo and the energy
exactly
from one tune to the next, right?
And you play to your strengths as well. Again, we've seen what has worked and what hasn't worked over the years.
Yeah.
Do you know, we've done sets of tunes that have flopped in certain scenarios that we know, okay, we might change that the next time or maybe not play that. Or like we'll alter our set slightly here than we would at an Irish festival.
Okay.
We tried to, like our set today, we find at bluegrass festivals the sets of tunes go down very well.
Yes.
And I know from looking at other bands here and listening to different bands, what we're doing is so unique that, and we know that what we're doing here today, there won't be anyone else doing anything like it. And that's not saying what we're doing is good, bad, or indifferent. We just know it's different.
Yes.
Because we listened to the McCurries last night, and I'll put my hand up and say I could never play music like they can.
Yes.
And I never will. But again, what we're bringing to the table, we're not trying to do what they're doing.
Right.
You know, we're not trying to be a bluegrass band. We're not trying to be an Irish band. We're trying to just do what we have found we're able to do and good at, and we're just, you know, people seem to enjoy it so far.
You know, I think I read that you had gotten a chance to jam or play a little bit with Billy Strings at some point recently. Is that true?
Yeah, when was it? 2019.
Yeah, he's a favorite son of this festival. He has spent a lot of time on these stages, and if you look at what he did in terms of genre expansion, he took this bluegrass thing and, you know, made his way into the jam band world and broadened the audience. Do you think about maybe what you're doing is kind of going across genres and building a bigger audience because of that?
I hope so, yeah. Like, I think everything we try to do is supposed to be feel good and enjoyable, and nothing we'd never get too serious about, even the way we speak over the mic. I'd never want to get into anything too political, too serious, because I'd imagine if I was going to a music festival, I don't want to hear that, to be honest, you know?
Yeah.
And there's some artists do it and they do it very well.
Yeah.
But I think we just take the idea of, you know, we'll just let the crowd have fun.
Right.
And we're bringing this Irish side of things to the table, and you'd hope that they'll just bop along and enjoy it. Like, they don't have to know what it is.
Right.
I think Irish music is accessible that way. You don't have to know the tune. You can just kind of enjoy yourself and move around.
Yep. Let's talk about this new record, Across the Pond. We've been talking about these themes. They're going to keep cropping up. The title of this record, Across the Pond, kind of represents what you're talking about bringing the traditions back and forth. You have songs here that reflect on the immigrants' journeys from Ireland to America, and of course it reflects your own immigration as a band, right, from Ireland over to here now. So that's kind of like a theme that we see on this record, am I right?
Yep, that's correct. I suppose this record is probably the most cohesive work that we've done so far. We were kind of getting there over the years, you know, trying to get this sound and get the idea of what we're trying to do together, but I think this whole album, every track has a role to play. Yeah. And they all fit the theme.
Yeah, I definitely got that impression about this thing as a package. I kept on seeing these themes. It shows up in different ways, too.
Yeah, and that's what we were trying to do. And, you know, we like the way it came out. So, Across the Pond is the title track. Daithí wrote that song. Mm-hmm. That's about basically the Irish getting on the boat years and years ago and landing at Ellis Island. He references, you know, Annie Holds My Hand as See me, the first lady that stepped onto Ellis Island from Ireland. In what year, I don't know. I'm not the historian in the band. I'm going to pawn that off to Dahi. But don't ask him either, because he mightn't know.
We'll just make something up.
Yeah.
On a fine misty morn, the bells were ringing. At an old Irish tune, the band were playing. While we danced and they cheered, to any I did say, home is in her hearts, dear. It's never far away. Across the pond, I'll meet you across the pond, across the pond, across the pond. Oh, I'll meet you across the pond.
Another one that the Robin is about immigration, and that's why we brought the Robin back in.
Yeah.
We recorded that a few years ago, and we might have given it a bit of a murder, and the Robin was dead after, I think.
I love the version on this record. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so we way prefer it this time round. We recorded, it was only our second album. We were kind of new to the recording process. We overproduced everything a little bit and didn't really know what we wanted.
Yeah.
So the Robin was always a nice song in our heads, but we didn't do it justice. So we always wanted to re-record it, but we didn't think it was the right thing to re-record a song. It's already released, blah, blah, blah. But then it fit the theme.
Yeah.
Because I wrote the Robin about when I came out of college, all my friends were going to Australia and different places for work. So it's about emigration and not getting work in Ireland and heading away to a different country to find work. And the Robin was actually a robin at my house that comes to the window every morning, and my dad would be eating his breakfast and he'd throw a few porridge oats out to him, and I used to think of the robin as, you know, a metaphor for flying away off to a different country, you know, after he had stayed at the house for a few minutes, and he was kind of not a care in the world, he's just gone, you know.
Well, I'm glad you resuscitated the Robin.
Yeah, we did. We had to give him CPR.
Time. Most days he'll pop on by. Quiet type, hasn't much to say. Brightest button on a busy day. The seasons changing around us. Flocks of birds leave the home nest. Endless problems and lots of stress. Not for the conscience of the red breast. Oh, he greets us in the morning with a simple harmless gaze. In the bitter cold of winter to the warm summer haze. And he'll fly away into the hot shining sun. Not a worry in the world, then he's gone.
You've got two banjo players in the band, right?
Two, yeah.
One plays in the American bluegrass style. He's got the 5-string banjo. And the other one, a 4-string tenor banjo, right? So this is another example of the two traditions blending in your band, right? Can you talk about that? Mm-hmm. How that works together within the musical structure?
Yeah, again, that's another thing that we know coming to a bluegrass festival, we have something else and unique, because you usually don't see too many tenor banjos at bluegrass festivals. I think what we do again with the banjos is visually, obviously you have two banjos on the stage, but we try to flip those things too. So like Dahi on the 5-string has been learning a lot of Irish tunes.
Okay.
But with the finger picks, you know, Scruggs style. And like 5-string players have done it over the years, but it's not really a very popular thing to do. Like, I remember listening to Bela Fleck do it before with Jerry O'Connor, and that was the kind of first video we saw of the two banjos going off each other, you know, a tenor and a 5-string.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. So we kind of get that going on the 5-string, and then Gavin playing bluegrass tunes on the tenor, you know, with improvisation and things. So you can do some quirky stuff that, again, you can't overdo it because 2 banjos would give you a headache after a while. But you can do some interesting little harmony things off each other, you know.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the fiddle fills up the gaps of all that.
Well, it works real well. When they're both playing the banjo, it's more on you as the guitar player to hold down the rhythm, right? So that's kind of a different kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the good
There's
thing.
There is a mandolin sometimes, but when there is no mandolin, it's on you.
It's all
right?
on me, but again, it's nice too because it gives me the freedom to back the tune whatever way I want.
Oh, okay.
If we are playing, if you have the mandolin there, also backing with the guitar, and if the banjo, like if we're backing a song, you know, we'll do the same. Well, it has to be the same chords, but for a good few years we had a bass player. And the bass player would have to lock in with my guitar playing.
Yes.
But since we've got a full-time fiddler, when we're playing instrumentals, the 3 boys are playing the melody and it's just me playing the rhythm. So it gives me a free role to back it, because Irish guitar backing can be very varied, you know.
Okay.
I could back the tune one way today, I could do it differently tomorrow, you know.
Okay.
Now, obviously with our set, it tends to be much the same because you're so used to doing the same set. But
you also have the freedom to change it up in the middle
exactly,
if you wanted to, right?
Yeah. And I'm also have the bass pickup on my guitar and the stomp, so no matter what I do, I can't not have those 3 tight because they're all being played by the same person, you know?
Right.
So it's not like you can make a mistake.
Well, it works great. The story of the band and this album echoes, as you said, the movement of the Irish people to America to a certain extent. You as a band have now come across the pond, as the album says, right? You are now based here in America.
Yeah.
You live in St. Louis. Do you feel a change since moving here has impacted your creative process? Do you feel a different energy when you're trying to create music since you've been over here?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've definitely picked up tricks from musicians in the States that I would have never been exposed to in Ireland. Like obviously bluegrass music in general.
Yeah.
Like I never heard of Del McCurry until probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up playing Irish music, you don't hear of these guys, you know. And once I delved into bluegrass and realised who these guys were, and then all of a sudden you're playing at the same festival as them. And, you know, we'll watch the gigs around here at the weekend, you'll always pick up little tricks, and whether it's a writing process thing or even just stage tricks, you know. Listening to Del last night, even his manner over the mic, you know.
Yeah.
He's 85 years old and he still has he just knows how to get the crowd
He really does.
into the palm of his hand without trying. He's just, you know, it's just easy for him.
Yeah.
Just effortless. So I think you're always learning things and then trying to use those things along with the stuff we have had at home. Because I suppose when I'm on the stage, I still I'll always have the Irish humour. I'll have to change it slightly so people understand what I'm saying. Because if I actually said some of the jokes that were in my head, I'd say it'd go over people's heads completely. But yeah, like there's some fierce, funny Irish musicians that have unbelievable on-stage wit and humour.
Well, you seem to have the gift for it.
Well, sometimes it can flop too. Now.
Well, you had people today right where you wanted them.
Yeah, they were good today now, I must say. Yeah.
So you settled in St. Louis. Your fiddle player is from St. Louis,
He's from
right?
there, yeah.
And you wrote a song, John D. McGurk's.
Yeah.
It's about a bar. Tell us about this place, your experiences there. This is a really fun song.
Yeah. When we came to the States first, it was 2015, and we had like a couple of festivals, and we did them, and we were like, oh geez, that was good. So 2016, we were trying to muster up a tour, and we had like a load of gaps that we were trying to fill between festival dates. So a friend of ours, we got on to him and said, any recommendations? He said, try McGurk's in St. Louis. They usually take you on for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we're like, oh, that's perfect. That suits us. So we went to this place anyway, and it's more than an Irish bar. It's nearly like a Irish bar / music venue in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into the room where the stage is, when you look at the wall, you can see why, because there's pictures of all the old Irish musicians that have played there over the years, and all the kind of legends of traditional Irish music have done McGurk's at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of took a real shine to that place. It was a real diamond in the rough. Like, I'd never thought St. Louis would be a place where you'd have an Irish bar that had, with real Irish music, but they've been doing it for years. So that became a little regular thing for a good few years now. We'd do our tour, and then in our off time, if we had a few weeks to kill, we'd go to McGurk's and just play there to make a few quid.
Like 5 nights a week kind of thing.
5 nights a week for, it could be a month, could be 2 weeks, could be 1 week. Did just fit us into whatever they could.
Yeah, well, that's great for you as a band getting your chops together.
Exactly. So we'd get really tight without having to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And we developed a following in St. Louis, and then it kind of got to the stage where we said, we'll write a song, we'll get the St. Louis crowd on board. We did a big music video in the pub and in the area, and we did a show there in March in a venue in St. Louis, not in McGurk's. It was the first time we played in St. Louis without playing in McGurk's, and it sold out like a decent sized venue, which we would never sell out anywhere else in the States.
Yeah.
At this point, So yeah, St. Louis has been very good to us now.
We got music legends on the wall, but they don't speak a word. A couple of whiskeys later, and they all sing like a bird. We got pickers from Texas, Donegal, and here in the Missouri. It's the heartbeat of a good old St. Louis. It's St. Louis, St. Louis. Well, we get lucky on the weekends, and it's good for you and me. It's John D. McGurk's, and it's bound to set you free. It's the heartbeat of the good old St. Louis.
It's a great song. And now, talking about the theme of this album and how it asserts itself, the album closer, Time to Go Home, is kind of like a bookend song to McGurk's, right? This is about a pub in Ireland.
In Ireland,
It's a beautiful song. Can you talk about this one, Time to Go Home?
That's one I wrote. I actually wrote it on the couch of our agent's house. He lives in Nyack, which is in upstate New York. And we spend time with him every now and again when we pass through New York. But myself and Dahi were in New York for a week. We're staying with Matt, and he had some of his buddies over for a session. And it was just at the end of the night. I was kind of saying to Dahi, we were talking with him, it would be great if you had a sort of a sing-along song at the end of our gigs. Because we usually use Go Lassie Go, which we used today. Hadn't sang that in a while. But it would be great if I had our own. So I got the chorus of Time to Go Home that night. And then it was just around September of October of last year, I wrote the verses. So I just pictured a pub at home. Again, it's kind of based off like personal experience of a high energy music session going on all night and fellas drinking pints and playing tunes and singing songs. And there's a verse about a fella ordering a load of pints when his wife is saying, no, you have enough, you have to go home.
Right.
My sister got a nod, the curly red hair on the fiddler who sits by the door, that's Kira.
Yeah.
And then another couple of different characters,
Yeah.
So it's been a great song live for, our sit-down gigs that very end of the night, and we'll sing it and the crowd can sing along too.
Johnny from town orders 10 pints of plain as his wife tries to drag him to bed. One more little sup, cries old Johnny as he takes off into dancing instead. The fire crackles along like the curly red hair of the fiddler who sits by the door. Brownie lets off the green fields round for band as the Buckley twins they shout for more. It's time to go home. It's time to go home. Shake your hands and say your goodbyes. It's time to go home.
I wanted to mention, we talked about how you are blending these influences, and what we haven't specifically mentioned is how the Irish music came over with immigrants and basically influenced the traditional and bluegrass music here.
Yeah, so again, this is all stuff we learned in the last, I don't know how many years since we looked into bluegrass. We started listening to bluegrass, but probably didn't fully realise the effect Irish music had on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose didn't realise that bluegrass music isn't that old.
Right.
But it's all these little towns in this area, you know, all around like Virginia as well, and down in the Carolinians, you have a lot of Irish names that have been there for years and years, that when they were settling in these towns, they would have brought songs and tunes and dances, and that kind of got into the culture over here. And when bluegrass music started up with Bill Monroe himself, that culture was already instilled into the American folk music, you know, and those tunes popped their heads up in bluegrass music.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting when you hear it, because again, you'd have like the temperance. I think I have it right. If I have this wrong anyway, I apologize to all the music nerds, because I'm not one.
Well, speaking of music nerds, I'm going to tell you that a musician friend of mine, Bryce Rabideau, teaches at the University of Pittsburgh. He's a mandolin player, and he teaches bluegrass music.
Right.
I told him I was interviewing you all, and he wanted me to tell you he uses your music in class to talk about the Irish influence in the development of bluegrass.
Oh, very good.
So you are making a mark in the halls of academia here.
Yeah, we're all big educators in our band, yeah. Educating the youth.
Can we talk about the Wild Rover Tik Tok incident? Are we allowed to talk about
Absolutely, yeah. We thought it was hilarious, to be honest.
Tell us about this. You mentioned, I bring this up because I saw you play last night
yeah.
and you told this story. Yeah.
Yeah, we the Wild Rover came out of nowhere. We were in the studio recording the album, obviously, and Dottie was kind of messing around on the banjo, and he just kind of was humming, "Oh, been a Wild Rover for many long," kind of that modally, clawhammery sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, "That'd be kind of cool if you completely changed the Wild Rover." He says, "Oh yeah, whatever." Then we were playing in McGurk's for a week or two. We tried it, and it started working. And we're like, "You know what? We'll just record that now and bring it out for St. Paddy's Day."
Yes.
As a random thing. And people have been enjoying it in the gigs, but we played the Opry there recently, and that was one of the songs, and we got the video back from the Opry, so we posted it. And we don't use TikTok that much, but when we have a video, we'll put it on TikTok as well as everything else. So we don't really have many followers, but whatever way the algorithms worked, we had all these people that, and by their comments, they had no idea who the band was.
Okay.
No idea what was going on. It popped up, they listened, and like the comments were, "Oh, you've absolutely ruined this song. It's like, this is awful."
These were Irish people.
Irish people, yeah,
Yes.
Irish people. It's like, this is I think they might have thought we were American.
Okay.
And we were actually trying to play the Wild Rover the way it usually is played. And we
Just messing it up.
Yeah, I think that's what they thought. But they obviously didn't do their research.
Did I hear a little bit of the Clinch Mountain backstep?
That's
in
what
there?
we threw that into the middle of it, yeah.
Right. I have to give my sister credit for picking
Oh,
that
there you
up
go, yeah,
earlier.
But yeah, it was hilarious. Some girl said something like, "I've been to the Grand Ole Opry more than once, and I'm a big country music fan, and this is not it." And saying, we didn't say it was.
No.
Ever, actually.
So how do you feel about TikTok now? You're going to stay away?
I think it's
are
funny.
You afraid?
It was seriously entertaining every time a comment come in, we'd text the group and we'd all look at it and laugh. Oh, Jesus.
Well, it was a big hit when you played it here. So.
Yeah, because it's a lively song, and again, it's a great song. The thing about the Wild Rover is we've played the actual normal version of the Wild Rover for years and years, and it's one of these songs that everyone's done.
Right.
And you know, there's a great melody, there's great lyrics, but everyone's done the Wild
They don't
Rover.
need to hear you
They
do
don't
it.
need us to do the same thing. So we're like, why not just throw an absolute curveball on it, and it means you can still play it live. So yeah, I don't know. It's funny.
It's good. Well, Jamie, it is warm in this trailer. I appreciate your patience.
Oh, no,
sticking
not
with
at
me
all.
so
All
long.
good.
I'm going to give you a chance to talk about one more thing. Bus tour of Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about this.
It's a new idea. Well, it's actually, we were going to do it just pre-pandemic as well, but it fell through.
Uh-huh.
It's an idea that bands from Ireland have been doing for a good few years, and we decided to do it ourselves. So it's basically a holiday or a vacation for American people to come across to Ireland and spend a week doing a bus tour of all the hotspots in the country. But we're on the bus with them.
Yes.
And we play music for them every night, and we're not their tour guides essentially. There would be a tour guide as well, but we'd be, part of the tour.
Yeah.
And there's a company running the tour, like, that picks the spots, but we can suggest our hometowns. So we put Tullamore in there, and we put Tipperary, where Gavin's from. And then there's Dublin, Galway, Killarney. And look, I think it sounds like a great time.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, because it's not just your regular run-of-the-mill tour of Ireland where you're going to the sites and you're seeing the sites. You know, it's all music orientated, and plus you're getting three now actually, because Kevin's from St. Louis. 3 Irishmen with you. Do you know that?
Yes.
I know that when we go to Tullamore, I'll be bringing them to my local pub and let them have a pint of Guinness, and you know, see where we would go for a pint in our natural habitat.
I'm gonna have to sign up for that.
Oh, please do. Yeah, it's people are very interested in it. We weren't sure how it was going to go.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's a lot of people.
Well, you can't go wrong with a tour of Ireland under almost any circumstance.
Yeah.
This sounds like a great way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, like I said, it's getting warm in here, Jamie. Thank you so much for taking the time. I've really enjoyed seeing you play here. You really mowed these people over, and I think when we see you back here at DelFest, you're going to be on that big stage in the evening time.
That'd be
great. It won't be so hot. But thank you for taking the time. Are you looking forward to spending some time just enjoying the festival now that your sets are over?
Yeah, looking forward to hearing Lucas Nelson now later on. We heard him playing Merlefest with Promise of the Real, but he's playing with the Travelling McCurries tonight.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect with that, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Jamie, thanks.
Thanks a million.
I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you